been a while since we've had Racecraft Rallycross powered by Next Level Racing in our lives, but as we close on the end of 2024, a chance to go in the shootout and 2 championships ready to lock horns once again. Hi folks, welcome back along to RaceSpotTV. Our Junior Kanky Party joined alongside by Joshua Lee as we get ready for some exciting Rallycross action. Drivers out on track for practice right now. And Josh, the championships earlier this year, lots of fun, and so we head back to Atlanta with just bragging rights on the line in the AM Championship. Drivers with fixed setups ready to duel it out on the dirt.
And we've got some interesting names in this entry list, especially in the open class that we'll get to in a little bit. But this one right here, the first one, the AM class, the fixed setups on all these cars. There is an I-rating cap of 4,000, so we're going to see drivers that are still learning these cars, see drivers that maybe don't have the speed as our open class competitors, but we're still going to see some great racing. You mentioned it, Arjuna. No points on the line tonight, just drivers wanting to be crowned our Racecraft Rallycross Shootout champion.
And so a quick talk about our Racecraft race analysis will maybe help us look through what the rest of the day is going to have in store. Remember, as mentioned, we've got 2 different championships on the deck for our drivers, and so they're going to be split up. Qualifying going to start in a few moments time, and then we'll split them out into their respective heat races and go from there. 5-lap heats, 5-lap LCQs, and then if you get to the main event, 10 laps to really settle it. 8 incident points as well for these drivers, which at this particular track might be something they'll keep very much in handy. Josh, talk us through this Atlanta Motorsports, not Atlanta Motorsports Park, Atlanta Motor Speedway here in Hampton, Georgia.
Well, it is on the iRacing service, the old version of Atlanta with the infield road course. It's about half and half tarmac to dirt, a little bit more tarmac, especially through that first sector than these drivers are going to see. Slightly less than a mile, making it one of our longer rallycross courses, especially the kind of rallycross racetrack convert tracks that we've got on the iRacing service. But that joker gain is very important, Arjuna. You cut off turn 4, 5, and half of turn 6. Turn 5 being a relatively slow banked dirt corner where drivers are going to hit that handbrake, try and get that car rotated. You can skip that completely if you take that joker lap. 8 to 9 seconds of gain in time for those drivers that take the joker. They'll have to take it once per race, and we'll see when those drivers take it. Joker lane strategy is big here at Atlanta, especially when we get into those 10-lap feature races.
And, you know, given that the heat races are so short, you can take the joker on the first lap if you want to. It's often sometimes something we keep an eye on. Very much looking forward, though, to the field that we've got out on track ready to rumble, with practice coming to its close and qualifying ready to begin. 18 of our cars out on deck, and it's a good sign that we've got, yes, plenty of Subarus. If you're familiar with iRacing Rallycross, you know that's kind of the car of choice for many. But we've got some Fiestas, we've got a Beetle as well. We've got all 3 manufacturers in the mix.
Love seeing the Beetles out on track. Love seeing the Fiestas out on track. Of course, those were the first 2 cars that we had in iRacing Rallycross and that competed in the Global Rallycross Championship that iRacing Rallycross was birthed out of. We got the Subaru later on and, of course, became the favored car. And now as we get ready for qualifying here, Arjuna, we'll see these drivers lay down those hot laps and see who can walk away with the pole. As off on track, Athena Leclerc gets started. The rest of the field will get on the horn and get ready for their flying lap.
And so we have plenty of drivers with some experience at Atlanta in previous Racecraft Rallycross events. We don't have, as far as I can tell, any of our previous RX2 champions. And again, this is a class meant for those with less experience in Rallycross cars, and fixed setups helps them adjust. The pro class that's up later, often called RX1 in our championships. Open setups, we've got some more championship drivers and a world champion as well, ready to rumble later today. Can't wait to see all of that. This, though, is the donk slide. One of the few corners on the entire calendar in iRacing Rallycross where you might just yoink the handbrake, lock the rear tires to get some rotation.
Those handbrakes are going to be helpful, especially around that banked corner like we mentioned, but you don't want to overuse that handbrake. It completely locks up those tires, kind of sends you around the corner. You might take some small stabs at it here and there, but you really want to keep these cars as straight as possible. That was a really good corner there from the 150 of Greg Johnson to get it pointed up and over the jump and across the line. First laps come in Athena Leclerc with the fastest lap right now at a 44.5. Familiar name, Andrew Howell goes into P2. Greg Johnson going to be about a second off of that lead pace of Leclerc, but that is a big gap, even with Reen Wegener grabbing second place, still about 7/10 in the lead for the number 61.
Ray Wegner, one of the oldest competitors in the field, but we know just how feisty he can be in his no-control machine. Here comes Trevor Teal in the air as he works his way up towards the line in the Nitro Circus Sim Racing entry. Breaks the timing beam. Team manager now jumps up to second. A big margin, though, for Athena Leclerc in the Kieran Leiflander Racing number 61. Back to the line. Is it going to be an improvement in the lap time? No, it will not be. First lap was the fastest.
Keeps the pole. Trevor Teal goes to second. Tor Oyvind Anderson in third as well. Top five separated by about 7/10, but still Leclerc with a very quick lap. Mike Wayne Robinson not going to have anything to say about it. He goes P16 with a mistake on that first lap. Interesting to note, 3 laps given to these drivers in qualifying. Might see some drivers grab one, then they tow it back to the pit lane as their second lap, and then go for their third lap on the lap count, but second flying lap at speed. Leclerc back across the line. Is it faster? No, it is going to be slower again. 44.568, still within the 44.5s on all 3 of those flying laps for Leclerc.
And so, that's her qualifying session done and dusted. Austin Scheiber's just finished up as well. Rennie Sotens, I think, is one of the few drivers that did do what you were mentioning, Josh. Back out of it, take the tow, and reset and go again. So here he comes back around to the line. This is on what is allegedly his second timed attempt, so he might get one more after this still. Comes back to the line, does improve does not improve in terms of time. It's very close. He's one of the few drivers still out there yet to finish up the session.
Ashley Benelli as well is on the track, hasn't put down any flying laps yet. We'll see if they're able to slap one in as they get ready to go on a lap, but Eric Dubois will move up to P3 in the 000 machine. 3/10 still behind your pole sitter. Leclerc's gonna be that hard to beat. I'm already gonna call it, Arjuna. Very quick here in qualifying as we see just the last handful of laps get in. 1 minute left on that clock. All but one I just mentioned have put down their lap times. Ashley Benelli on a flying lap now. We'll see if they're able to get a lap in, and it looks like they'll tow it back, and that's going to be about it for the laps in qualifying.
Except Rennie Sotens, who does find an improvement, jumps himself up to third at the very dying stages of the session. And so we're now locked up and ready to go. Remember, we'll split the field into 3 respective heats. Athena Leclerc, Trevor Teal, and Rennie Sotens will line up at the front of each, and the rest of the drivers filter in behind. Josh, 2 drivers advanced directly to the feature from each of the heats. The rest have to go to those LCQs where we know just how crazy they can be. It's going to be very interesting to see how aggressive they are on this race start.
You're going to have to be aggressive, I think. It's that run down into turn number 1. It's half tarmac, half dirt when you get down into that first corner off the start, which is the final corner of every other lap. Coming over that jump, it just breeds drama. It breeds contact. It breeds aggression. We're going to see what these drivers do all night long as they go diving into turn number 1, 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide if they're feeling adventurous, Arjuna. Heat 3 will be skipped. We got 2 heats on the docket. Top 2 will advance from each of these 5 lap heats, and we're ready to take a look at that starting grid.
Interesting. Of course, the dynamic nature of iRacing adjusting the splits as we go. A couple less drivers showing up than expected means the field gets rejigged. Let's take a look at that starting grid for the first of the heats. Athena Leclerc, Rennie Sotens on the front row with Andrew Howell, Rennie Wegner directly behind. Greg Johnson, Devin Hughes, 5th and 6th positions with Chikuba, Mackenzie Johnson, and Mike Wayne Robinson at the tail end of the 9-car heat to open up the evening's festivities. And if you're new to the world of Rallycross, well, Josh, contact is to be expected, but in the world of Paul Smith, that does not mean it's a contact sport.
No, you don't want to make too much contact. You don't want to get too much damage on these cars. They're not super aero dependent, a little bit more aero dependent than the off-road Pro 4 truck counterparts in the dirt road license class. But you don't want to wreck anybody. You want to be clean, but you can use those bumpers. Think of short track racing just on a track about a mile long and half covered in dirt instead of asphalt.
It's one of the longer tracks on the schedule as well. The one thing that I always enjoy about coming over to the world of Racecraft is there's no debate about are we using the short layouts or the long layouts. We use the long layouts. They are always the better layouts as well. We've got all 9 on the grid, and it means for the first time, let's sing the sound of race cars. Turn our attention to the lights. Drivers, get ready to put foot to the floor and get Racecraft Rallycross powered by Next Level Racing Shootout underway. Drop the hammer and down to turn 1. It's a great start from Rene Soten, sweeps around the outside and controls off the start. A spin behind as Mike Wayne Robinson stays at the very back of the field. Athena Leclerc is going to slot into second and try and challenge on the run to turn 1. Relatively tidy start, all things considered. At the line, a spin though at the tail end of the pack.
At the front of the field, we almost got side by side. We almost got contact as well. Chikuba ends up having to tow it back to the pit lane. First pass of the Joker. Who takes it? It's going to be the top 2. That's Rene Soetens. That's Athena Leclerc. Both of them taking the Joker early on. For heat race strategy being in the top 2, I don't hate that decision, Arjuna. They're pretty close in speed.
And so, watch the margin that they build. Once they cross the line, they'll illuminate on the left in gold to indicate they've taken that 8 to 9 second shortcut. It does mean they've got to now fight together wheel to wheel. The top 2 advance, that will be highlighted as well on the left. Watch Rene Wegner. Does he decide to respond this time by? He's got plenty of pressure in the rearview mirror.
Pressure out back is right, but this group from third on back has to start thinking about Joker lane strategy. 10 seconds back from the race lead, but they're about 9 back from second place. Here goes Rene Wegener into the Joker. Where does he come out? He comes out behind the top 2, but look at the boost in speed. He gets way more speed heading into the final corner. It's not close enough, and he is on the handbrake to get that thing slowed down.
Bit too deep into the corner, winds it down in time, and now 3 cars fighting within 1.3 seconds at the front of the field. Leclerc a bit of a slip up through the double right at the end of the lap, allowing Rene Soetens to just build his advantage a little bit more as they wind their way back to the donk slide again. So we knew that Rene Wegner was already on the cusp of being outside of the Joker window. Andrew Howell right now, the next car in line yet to have Jokered, definitely not within the Joker Delta right now. And so really, top 2 have got to think, don't fight too much here, Josh. They'll be pretty comfortable 2 laps from now to advance directly to the main event.
Greg Johnson through the Joker as well. He pops out P4. This is all going to be from third on back, just starting positions in those consolation races. The battle for the lead is on, though. Leclerc on the back bumper of Soetens. Back to turn 1. 2 laps to go. I think that main passing zone is going to be the banked dirt curve in turn 4 on the back bumper of Soetens. Leclerc is getting aggressive. Does she go for the move through the banking? They hit the turn barrier. They just hit the tire barrier. They're side by side. Soetens is into the wall and out of the transfer positions.
I'm pretty sure there was a lot of contact and a lot of damage on that car, and it's going to mean he drops to the probably tail end of this field. Athena Leclerc is going to take the victory surely in this race, but with no shortage of drama. Wow, what a way to open up the night's festivities. A little bit of drama, a little bit of contact, and now a big amount of work for Rene Soetens to do. Look at him limping that car around the lap.
That is going to be a heat race over for Soetens and a consolation race in his future. It wasn't a mistake. It was a mistake from Soetens. It was not contact from Athena Leclerc behind. She made contact after he had already pointed that car to the inside, trying to get the best line and entry into the banked curve, and he ended up hitting the tire barrier, breaks that wheel, or the front wheel of the car, loses steering almost completely, and this will move Athena Leclerc to first, moves Wegner to second place, and that is going to stay relatively the same. Maybe not. Here comes Harold to the inside for the transfer.
And so through the final couple of corners, we got a battle brewing. Drag race to the line. Can Rene Wegner hold on? Answer is yes, but by the slimmest of margins. Welcome to Racecraft Rallycross Shootout, powered by Next Level Racing. My word, what a way to open things up. And Josh, this is just the first race of the night. We've got plenty more to come in the AMs before the pros take center stage as well.
They did not need a warm-up like the drivers did last night in the Knoxville Nationals to get aggressive. They are already getting aggressive as we put Heat 1 behind us and move in to the second and final heat of the day for the AM class. This is how all these races are going to be tonight. Buckle up. This is going to be an exciting couple hours.
Still waiting for the final couple of drivers to come across the line. Rene Sotens is limping his Subaru STI around the lap as much as he can, but the no control machine limited in its control by virtue of everything that happened. And like Josh mentions, just one more heat to go, just 2 more drivers to automatically advance. It's going to be a big old LCQ to come later on in the proceedings. Only one driver does not see the end, by the way, so Chikuba, unfortunately, 4 laps adrift from the rest of the field. It's going to be very, very interesting how the second heat goes, especially after a bit of the chaos that we did see. Again, confirmation of the drivers that moved their way on forward. The top 2 advance, Athena Leclerc and Rene Wegner. Drivers behind have some work to do. Let's take a look at the starting grid, though, for Heat 2, because they're already lining up to go. Trevor Thiel, Eric Dubois, front row. Tor Ovin Anderson and Austin Schauber behind them, with Alex Otero, Klaus Kreutzer then alongside, and Ovin Anderson, Alan McGisson, and Ashley Benelli through the rest of the 9 cars. It's fast, frenetic rallycross action, and I don't think we're going to get much time to breathe. Once again, the engine's revving. We're fired off down to the penultimate couple of corners on the lap. It's a great launch around the outside, but it's going to be lost from Eric Dubois. Thiel's going to steal back the lead up the inside, gets pushed by Tor Ovin Anderson, and a drag race up to turn number 1. Who's going to win? Ford Fiesta out of shape.
Anderson had great offense, but Thiel had even better defense going through turn number 1. First pass of the Joker coming up after turn 3. Who dives in? Does Thiel dive in from the lead like we saw in the last heat? Around they go. Thiel dives in. So does Anderson. Anderson stays out. Dubois dives in. Thiel and Dubois to the top 2. Anderson will keep 3rd place. Off was an incident. He's turned around in the bank curve.
That's a little bit more of what we were expecting, all as Thiel and Dubois sailing clear at the very front of the field. A bit of damage, of course, after the, I don't want to say incident on the start, the bit of contact that Ovin Anderson had into the back of Thiel out through this corner. Let's check back in, though, with those yet to have jokered. You'll note that on the left side of the screen once again. It's about 8 or 9 seconds if you execute it well. Ovin Anderson right inside that window.
This is going to be an interesting Joker lap if he decides to take it this time by. The rest of the field going through turn 5 right now. Thiel and Dubois, no Joker yet for Anderson. Everybody's staying out of the Joker actually on this pass. No, Oyvind Anderson comes in his Ford Fiesta. He was the Fiesta that got cattywampus over the jump first time by, so he gets the Joker in and now goes to P3. The Joker Delta still in favor of Anderson, especially where he's at right now, and with the momentum he's going to gain after the Joker lap.
And I'm wondering, based on what we saw last time, remember, top 2 move forward, Athena Leclerc keeping Rene Sotens very honest up front. Eric Dubois is doing a very similar thing at this point in time, isn't he? And so, once again, out through the dom slide, with the on the handbrake, it would seem, for the both of them. That margin to Tor Ovin Anderson starting to close. He is keeping that Joker in reserve, though. He's hoping they'll fight, and he'll get a chance to leapfrog them in the closing couple of laps.
It's not a bad strategy, and it's working out a little bit for him right now. I think that gap has grown maybe a little bit too much. I think he kind of needs to lean on Dubois and Thiel to go battling a bit more than they are right now. I mean, they're running relatively safe at the front as Tor makes a mistake there going through the grass a bit. There's not a lot of grip on the dirt. There's even less on the grass in these cars. You do not want to get sucked in off the road.
And so, is it going to be this time by for the 74? Knowing that slip-ups really dropped him back in the queue a bit more than he would have wanted. Again, 8 to 9 seconds, that delta. Is he going to go driver's right this time by? No. We'll keep it in reserve for the very final lap of the race. One great thing, by the way, about this series, always get some drivers sharing a look behind the scenes. There's a look at Trevor Thiel. No pickle costume, but he does have a skeleton. A reminder, Halloween's not far away.
He used the excuse that he just recently moved and he doesn't have the pickle suit with him. Yeah, right. I don't buy it.
He also at one point said he was too professional as a team manager now to wear the pickle suit. So,
come on.
You know, new day, new excuse. Exactly.
I mean, I leave for like a year and a half, and Racecraft Rallycross goes on days that I am not at home, and we get nothing but excuses from Trevor Thiel.
All the excuses, but all the fun as well. Now, are we going to see a bit of a battle between these drivers and Tor Ovin Anderson, who should take his Joker this time by? Just a little bit too far behind, but with the speed, can he slingshot his way to the inside of Eric Dubois in the 000? Answer will be no, but That's what Josh was talking about. 10-lap feature. You've got so much more time with which to work on your Joker strategy. There's 3 on top of one another, 3 within half a second, but it is Trevor Thiel that advances. Eric Dubois to move forward with him. Toro Anderson just misses out.
Didn't hate that strategy from Toro Oyvind Anderson to just save the Joker for the last lap. No need to do it on lap 4. You might as well just save it for lap 5. It was close, but it was not close enough. He needed, I'm not exaggerating, Arjuna, maybe like 3 tenths or 4 tenths to go his way before he went into the Joker, and that would have been a spectacular pass for second place and for the transfer. Unfortunately, did not happen, and he's going to have to go into one of our 2 consolation races tonight. Not going to be the stacked consolation races like we saw last night at Knoxville, Arjuna. Drivers from the C and the B main will advance automatically into the feature race.
I'm not complaining about that. As much as I do enjoy the Knoxville Nationals format, this format for the drivers at least, a little less chaotic. Ready though to take a quick look at the results before we confirm how they'll line up for the first of the LCQs. And so Trevor Thiel, Eric Dubois, they'll be watching on from the sidelines. Rest of the drivers have some work to do. So let's look at how they will stack themselves up with plenty of drivers to advance, 4 to move forward, 7 to start, only 3 leave us from this. So Howell, Hughes, Johnson, Robinson, Sotens, that's the front 6. And then Chikuba at the very back. And if you're Rene Sotens, you've got to think you're here with a bit of a mission, Josh, to try and fight your way to the front.
You don't have to fight too much. Top 4 we are going to take to make a 12-car feature race grid. The 3 drivers from this LCQ will go home. You're starting in those top 4 spots. Just be on defense as much as you can. No need to try and do any heroics. If you're 5th, 6th, or 7th, Rene Sotens being one of those drivers, go for the move. Go for as much as you can. Be on the aggression. Get those drivers in front of you out of shape.
So here we go. Oh, not a launch at all from Andrew Howell. He goes nowhere and gets swarmed on the run down to turn 1. The Beetle almost forgets to brake, and Mackenzie Johnson does slow down, just avoids running into the back of Devin Hughes. There's chaos and carnage. Greg Johnson, Mackenzie Johnson clatter into one another, all as Devin Hughes breaks clear at the very front. 4 to move forward, 3 to leave us. I think the question is, who can stay out of trouble here?
Johnson got turned by somebody in turn number 1. Not sure what happened. Oh, he turned himself trying to get on the handbrake, going into the dirt, and ends up now P6. Joker first time by. Hughes takes it. Soydens takes it. Robinson takes it. Johnson takes it. We have a top 4. All 4 of our transfer spots right now taken up by Joker lane drivers. 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th, Howell, Kuba, and Johnson now still have their Jokers to play with, and almost all of them within a Joker lane delta, and that is big from a driver of the Subaru, all out of control.
Mike Wayne Robinson finds just how difficult jumps can be if you're not perfectly lined up on them. Oh, be careful not to beat yourself there as well. I've done that more than I care to admit. So, those behind now really starting to drop out of contention. 4 to take to the Joker, and Andrew Howell suddenly finds himself back in the transfer spot without having jokered. He will go this time by. The 666 slides his way just in front of Sotens, although a full second behind Devin Hughes.
On board now as we look off the back of your race leader in Hughes. Keeps Howell behind. Howell tries to point that car to the inside. That is the racing on the dirt that we're used to seeing. You need to try and take those different lines. We mentioned it a lot at Knoxville last night. It's a lot of the same in Rallycross, especially through those dirt sections where all those passes are made. You really need to take a line that the driver in front of you is not taking. Seeing a lot of great things right now out of the 666 of Howell. And as he has taken his Joker last time by, he can do nothing but look in front of him, try and go for this consolation race win. Another point to the inside, using the handbrake to his advantage there to get lower in the corner than the driver in front of Hughes.
And this is about starting 1 grid position, 2 grid positions for further forward, 1 row further forward as well. So Andrew Howell is not going to concede here with 2 laps left to go as we fly into the air one more time. Watch the landing as well. Got to control the attitude of the car with your brake and your throttle. You hit the brake, you'll get the front end just sit down on you. You hit the throttle, you'll see the front end just rise on you. Got to make sure you land smoothly. You can damage these cars if you're not careful, especially in the longer feature race, which we are not far away from by any means. These 3 drivers relatively close for the time being, but I think Andrew Howell slides back a little bit through the donk slide this time by. Devin Hughes has got control.
control is correct. As we look off the back again of the number 60, all the Joker lanes now being taken by almost everybody. Chikuba back in the pit lane, unfortunately, for the second time in the proceedings tonight. So they are going to be out of this race. Mackenzie Johnson, 7 seconds back. MP5, not a factor right now as the Joker lane is done by the 36 as well. The top 4 racing among themselves as we look up from Soitens on the final lap, looking at the battle for the lead, and a mistake from Howell, one of the first we've seen tonight, is going to push him a couple of tenths back from the race leader. Does he do anything in the last couple of corners to try and go for it? Looks to the door, doesn't get there by the end of turn 5.
And so the thing that you'll notice, right, is how frequently these drivers do lock up the brakes. It's quite easy to do so, and you can find yourself in trouble. Devin Hughes, he's gone deep a couple of times into this penultimate corner. Goes okay this time by. Andrew Howell out of shape. Rene Soten says, thank you very much. I don't need a second invitation. Slides his way forward a row in the feature grid and advances along with Devin Hughes, Andrew Howell, and Greg Johnson. A relatively tidy opening LCQ. Still one more left to go.
So 4 more advance to the feature. We've got another consolation race on deck with 4 more drivers that are going to advance. Unfortunately, we say goodbye to Mackenzie Johnson, Mike Wayne Robinson, and Chi Kuba, 5th, 6th, and 7th finishers in this constellation. But we still got one more chance for drivers to make it into the feature race, Arjuna, but we've got a stacked lineup in this AM feature race already starting to brew. Loving what I saw through the heats and through this constellation. All the drivers up front have been aggressive, but the right level of aggressive. Haven't seen too many out-of-pocket moments yet.
And, you know, it's somewhat of a shame that we don't have 2 Racecraft Rallycross seasons in 2024, but it just means that we can focus on other things coming up later this year, including a race to the summit. We'll talk about that in a set. Confirmation of the 4 to move forward. We say goodbye to Mackenzie Johnson, Mike Wayne Robinson, and to Chi Kuba. Quick look at the starting grid for, well, the second of the LCQs. Another 7 cars to battle, 3 to leave us, 4 to move forward. Toro, Ovin Anderson, Klaus Kreutzer, and then Ovin Anderson, Alex Otero, Austin Schreiber, Ashley Benelli, and at the very back of the grid, we're just about getting ready to go, Alan McGinninson ready to rumble. So it's another chance for these drivers to advance. I've already seen we might have had a bit of a jump start. We'll see what that means for when the lights actually drop and we get the pedal pushed to the metal. Toro Ovin Anderson, pretty decent jump. His family member behind Ovin Anderson slots into second. Very tidy coordination between the two of them. But into the air we go, up towards the line. First lap officially underway.
Aggressive first corner as well, as we've got a battle brewing pretty much right around the transfer. 4th place right now sits with Austin Schieber. He's got a mirror full of Alex Otero as we go by the Joker for the first time. Leader in, 2nd place in, 3rd place Klaus Kreutzer stays on the racetrack. Alex Otero also comes in to put himself up and into the transfer spot. Kreutzer now going to sit on the edge on the bubble of the transfer.
And so it's very similar to what we had in the first of the LCQs, where a whole handful decide to go first time by. Now we wait to see what happens with those that elect to stay out there. How do they decide to divvy up their opportunities to jink their way onto that Joker? And all as there's a bit of a battle between 2 Ford Fiestas. Ovin Anderson goes straight. You get a slowdown for that as well. Alex Otero will surely try and find his way past, although Anderson's going to try and hold him up as much as he can into the donk slide. Here we go, side by side.
2 Ford Fiestas going side by side and making the contact. Otero to 2nd, Anderson to 3rd, now to 2nd place, Austin Schieber. That was a big momentum shift for the 47. Just shot out of a cannon on the Joker lap into 2nd place. And this changes now the complexity of this battle. A mistake in the final corner for Schieber, but Otero and Anderson, one mistake, and that could be the end of their feature race hopes, and that could have been one right there.
And so again, reminder of who has yet to Joker. Left side of the screen, those not illuminated with the gold crown. So the 77 is still very much in the mix to leapfrog in front of the 47. If he chooses to go this time by, here comes the Team Watson Racing number 77. He'll decide to wait for those final 2 laps though. Might not be the worst choice in the world. I think we do know for sure though, based on the gaps behind, 6th and 7th somewhat out of contention. So it's just a question of where does Klaus Kreutzer place himself with his trip down that Joker shortcut.
Right now, that delta is the way of Kreutzer. Anderson, or Oyvind Anderson, the non-Tour version in P4, needs to try and extend that gap, but he's not doing a great job of it. It's 3.6 seconds right now, that delta in between 4th and 5th. This is all Klaus Kreutzer's transfer spot to gain right now. Just depends on when he takes that Joker and if he makes a mistake in between then. I liked the strategy in heat number 2 of leaving the Joker for the final lap. Kreutzer's inevitably going to do that. I honestly don't like this in this scenario. Might breed a little bit more of a mistake from Kreutzer, but it hasn't yet. He's has to take it next time by no matter what.
It was a mistake, I think, from Oyvind Anderson at the front of the field, because suddenly the gap has shrunk down to those behind. He lost 1.6 seconds last time at the line. That was not the most comfortable landing either at the end of the day. So there's a bit of pressure at the very front of the field, and could Kreutzer find himself in contention to jump to the front? Here he goes across the line. We watch on board with him as your leaders rumble to the donk slide.
Final lap on board with Kreutzer. Bottom of your screen. There's your leaders going through turn 5.
Oh!
Contact! That's Schieber into the wall. Stops Otero with him as well. Joker for Kreutzer goes into P2. Oyvind Anderson into P3. And the colliding Schieber and Otero. That was the battle for the transfer. Give it to the Fiesta.
Oh my days, have you ever? This is what Rallycross is meant to be about. There is a drag race to the line. It doesn't really matter though, because as we see Oyvind Anderson hold on by 81 thousandths of a second, it is those behind that are thinking, what just happened? Oyvind Anderson takes advantage. Alex Otero joins him. Unfortunately, we say goodbye to the 47 after one slip up at the donk slide.
A big slip up from the 47 collected Otero, and then they stayed on each other for all through that entire corner. It was a demo derby for the transfer. Here's Schieber. Gets just too low, gets on the gas a little bit too early, hits the wall. Otero into his door, and then right here's the battle for the transfer. Anderson goes by, but it's just demo derby. Do whatever you can to get it. And it was contact from the Fiesta that sends the 47 around and out of our race tonight.
Have you ever? I mean, to be fair, that's the kind of thing that we have seen in the past in RX2 competitions, stuff of the ilk, but that is the nature of Rallycross. It's not a contact sport, but contact is often made. Quick look at the results, just a confirmation of 2 West Racing Norway drivers moving forward alongside of Slapex powered by TWRS and Toxo Team. Unfortunately for 3 drivers, it's the end of the road, but Josh, we have now built ourselves up to this main event. We've had 5 lap heats so far. Now it's all about doubling that in length. It's a long lap as well. Drivers have got to keep their focus as we get ready to go.
12 drivers, 10 laps, a lot can happen. We double the lap count from our heats and our constellation races tonight. I think the strategy for the drivers up front is going to be do whatever it takes. The drivers out back have a lot more work to do, but the Joker lane strategy here being 8 to 9 seconds that they are able to gain is going to be crucial for those drivers further back in the starting grid. They can make stuff happen, especially with an early or late Joker. I think we might see more drivers out back than up front that end up taking that Joker on the first lap to try and leapfrog as many cars as they can.
I don't even know if I want to ask you for a prediction here.
I don't think I'm going to give you one.
Yeah.
This field is so even. I mean, we're going to see it again in the pro class when we get to our open setup racing with some of the best stars of iRacing Rallycross. That's going to be tight. This field is just as tight, maybe even tighter.
Yeah, I was going to say get your random number generator out. That's about as close as I can get in terms of a prediction. I think we're in for a good one, though, and I teased it a little bit earlier. Yes, there is a race to the summit coming up. Time Attack qualifiers to start soon, all building up to the live event broadcast here on RaceSpotTV and in partnership, of course, with those behind the scenes at Racecraft. Ready to rumble, though, for our AM finale in this Racecraft shootout powered by Next Level Racing. Let's go trackside, take a look at the starting grid. It's the biggest field that we have across of the day's races. Athena Leclerc There was plenty of drama, but she'll line up at the front alongside of Trevor Teal, with Renee Wegner and Eric Dubois sharing row 2 behind. Devin Hughes and Torovin Anderson, the first of the drivers making it through from the LCQs, with Renee Sotens, Klaus Kreutzer, Andrew Howell, Owen Anderson, Greg Johnson, and Alex Otero at the back of the field. Oh boy, get strapped in, get ready to go. And this is where we kind of throw the expectations out the window. We just know one thing is for sure: there's going to be chaos, there's going to be carnage. For one final time, these drivers rev their engines, turn their attention to the lights, and put foot to the floor. Athena Leclerc not getting the best jump into the opening corner, so they're 3 wide for a moment. Renee Wegner backs out of it and then commits once more. One car goes spearing off into the grass, bit of contact being sent from a couple of drivers, and so is Leclerc and Otero, I think, a couple of drivers loose over the jump. What a start from Renee Wegner to take advantage and lead into the opening corner. What just happened for Devin Hughes?
Hughes makes contact with Leclerc. Leclerc flipping up and over, doing kick flips in the air. First lap past the Joker. Leader doesn't come in. Torovin Anderson does. Teal does. Soidens does. Otero does. Dubois does. Top 5 all take the Joker. Renee Wegner from 1st to 5th, after half of the field almost, takes the Joker on the opening proceedings. And that was big contact for Leclerc, but luckily, this is Rallycross. They are still moving. Devin Hughes with an incident in the first couple of corners and another incident as he goes out of the Joker exit. Now into the pit lane goes the number 60 machine.
I mean, there's drama, then there's a start like that. I mean, I've seen a couple of drivers do front flips here over anti-cut curbs. I've never quite seen someone pull a handbrake and say, sorry, see ya, I'm out of this race, kind of a move before. I tell you what, let's go back though to the replay if we can, hoping it's going to be calmed down for just a little bit. It started into the opening corner. What happens here as he tries to turn it right?
I mean, it was all 12 drivers going into the opening corner. Everybody survived turn number 1. That was another instance. I think it's the second time tonight for Devin Hughes that he's hit that handbrake a little bit too much, or even in a spot where he doesn't really need to pull the handbrake. It locks up the rear tires and sends the rear of the car in any direction but straight. Leclerc had nowhere to go. Just everything happening in front of her, and there's 1, 2, 3 flipping corkscrews everywhere, and luckily able to keep on going. She's still on the racetrack inside the top 10 P9.
Let's get it and go, the motto. I mean, that's not the type of thing they were hoping to get, but they survived, and there might have been a bit of afters with Devin Hughes as well as a result of that Joker exit like you were talking about. Anyway, let's focus on the battle maybe up front, or the lack thereof, because Renee Wegner on debut in his new colors, the Run DJC Sim Racing colors, looking very, very strong. Torovin Anderson 6/10 behind. Bit of pressure building from Trevor Teal as well. 4 Subarus leading, and then Alex Otero, the best of the Fiestas.
And the few Fiestas that are in this field as well. You can see the smoke from up ahead. You're on board with Trevor Teal in virtual and in the real world as he works his way from P3. There's the send to the inside, trying to get just on the door is really where you need to get. The banked curve, unless they make a mistake and go up the line, you're just going to end up in the wall. There's a mistake right there from Torovin Anderson in front, and gives second place to Trevor Teal. He was waiting for the mistake, and it was the slightest margin. The 74 just hit the wall on the inside of that corner, trying to get as much real estate of the track as he could, and now the 72 is in second, chasing for the race lead.
And behind, Torovin Anderson has dropped to 6th position as a result of that, so pain really felt from one mistake. You can see the damage on that car as well, not looking most comfortable as the 7017 Watson Racing car closes from behind as well. So everyone of contention, I think, at this point has Joker. Andrew Howell might just have something to say about a battle for a podium spot though, because he's still got 5 full laps with which to work. Doesn't need to take his Joker anytime soon until he catches a little bit of traffic. So expect him to try and be thinking about that gap that's slowly building in front of Renee Sotens.
It'll be halfway this time by, with Wegner and Teal the top 2. Teal closing that gap. They're on board with the 666 of Andrew Howell, currently running back in P9, but that battle up at the top with the Fiestas up towards the front of the field. I mean, Soitens and Otero running almost identical lap times last time by, a little bit quicker on the Soitens end. But all the Joker lane strategy now is pretty much out the window. Only Howell left to take a Joker that would slingshot himself considerably up the leaderboard. Doesn't take it this time by with 5 to go.
So again, a real chance that he's going to not only look to try and slot into third, but if the lap times are good enough, he could try and challenge for your race lead. Still plenty of time with which to work, and he's got 4.5 seconds in front to try and bridge. He's 3/10 quicker than the race leader last time by. Alex Otero, a bit of a bobble off the final corner. Eric Dubois lined up behind in the 000 entry as we jump on board with the Subaru. That's how you're meant to take the opening corner, without a yank on the handbrake to send your rear tires locked around. And then this is where you will actually sometimes see, there you could, the car was induced to rotate more than was normal. That's where you can see the driver on the handbrake getting the car to do what he wants.
And also listen to the throttle control through the dirt. I mean, he is not full throttle. Full throttle means all of the horsepower just spins right through these wheels. These cars are four-wheel drive. Yes, they do have a considerable amount of grip on the dirt compared to any car you could take on these that are two-wheel drive. However, they have so much horsepower, you lay it on the throttle, it's gonna be nothing but wheel spin. You're gonna go nowhere. You have to be quick on the shifts. You don't wanna have too high of RPMs. You want all four tires to be gripping at the same time. A great job from all these drivers so far to not lose it through the dirt. Very easy to do as we see a line developing in the banked curve of turn 5, but with 2 to go, not going to see a whole lot of differing track states left in this feature race.
And so there's 2 battles developing here. The fight for third, 4 drivers involved. But there is a fight for the lead, and you best believe it. Trevor Teal's knocking on the door of the race win here, and he's not going to let this one go without a fight. Rene Wegner, though, we mentioned some new colors for him. His teammate Chris Pissock's watching on and getting ready to go in the Pro Championship. Of course, we saw Chris really show his strength in this year's RX2 Championship in the championship fight. Rene Wegner just has got to hold on, just a couple more corners now to go. Trevor Teal's going to have to look, but where can his passing opportunities come from, Josh? Because time is ticking away.
Time's ticking away very quick. It'll be white flag this time. The mistake again. Same spot that Teal got second place from. He's looking to get first now. He's on the outside heading into the right-hander. The final corner before the jump. Mistake again for the 17, but contact. He hits the handbrake. Contact with the 72. And Teal from second across the jump. Now to third and fourth.
He's going to now be drag racing down to turn 1 with Alex Otero. Decides that discretion is the better part of valor, but he knew the battle for the lead was on. The chance for the win was there, and he wasn't going to back down. Josh, very quickly, what do you make of that?
I think it was just the 17 being aggressive. He knew what he needed to do to keep the lead. I don't think he hit the handbrake to make a wall as Teal gets into more contact with Otero in front of him. I don't think the 17 was trying to make a wall that Teal couldn't get by using his passenger side door. I just think that was a Rallycross racing incident. Maybe Wegner didn't need to pull the handbrake there.
And so out of the final corner, great to have Racecraft Rallycross back in our lives. And in the AM class, it's Wegner in some new colors winning the shootout. What a drive. Yes, some drama, but that's what contact in Rallycross tends to bring. Trevor Teal does end up dropping to 7th. We'll grab a look at the replay, take a look at a couple of different angles, and then hopefully chat to our winner to close the book on the AMs before we can look at the pros. But Josh, this was just the beginning. There's still a lot more action to come here tonight.
We've got a lot of action left with our open class and our pro drivers that are coming up. But Wegner with a great drive in that feature race. Started on third on the grid as well. Made it work to his advantage to end up P1 at the end of this feature race tonight.
There's a look from up above as he celebrates, or maybe goes off to send a couple of messages and look at the replay. We'll take a look at the provisional race results and then dive our way into our post-race analysis. It is DJC Sim Racing, though, 2.9 seconds clear of the rest of the field, with René Soten's really fighting back from not making it through directly from his heat race and having to come through the LCQs. Andrew Howell in third in the 666 with Eric Dubois directly behind him. A battle all the way to the end and some contact on the final lap. Alex Otero grabs the top 5 in the best of the non-Subarus with Klaus Kreutzer behind him. Trevor Thiel dropping down to 7th. Tor Ovind Anderson, and then Greg Johnson the rest of the top 10. Athena Leclerc scored us 1 lap down. Devin Hughes scored us 10 laps down. Big drama down the very tail end of the field. Well, we're still waiting for the race winner, but I tell you what, let's not dawdle. Let's catch up with at least someone in the field. Josh Lee, ready to chat with second place, Rene Sotens.
Well, Rene Sotens ends up in second place after a dramatic feature race there. Rene, what happened from your perspective? It looked like you had to be aggressive through the midfield, especially starting on the back foot, P7 on the starting grid.
Happened a lot on this race, but it was really fun to do. It was competitive field, great fighting. I like it.
Back with the Racecraft Rallycross Shootout after the season here in the AM class. Atlanta Long is kind of a polarizing racetrack, one of the longer ones that we've got on iRacing Rallycross. Where does it rank in tracks for you? Was this one that you were looking forward to? And kind of when the track was announced for the Shootout, were you like, oh yeah, I can't wait to go racing in Atlanta?
Yeah, I especially love this track because the back gravel corner always brings some action, also drama. In my case, in the first heat. But that's a part of the great Rallycross track that this one is. So I really like this track. So looking forward to see the pros do it.
Got the pro race coming up, but we also have, of course, hopefully another season of Racecraft Rallycross next year. Is it going to be another AM class year for you? Is it time to graduate up to the pro class? What's the future for you and your team?
It depends on if some of my drivers will start in AM class, because I want to support them also in the AM class. So maybe it will be the AM class, otherwise it will be the pro class, but the pro class I'm not fast enough. I think it's my age.
Well, congratulations on your second place finish. A really great effort from you. Go celebrate and go watch the pro class proceedings that's coming up in a moment. Congratulations.
Thanks for having us.
Well, Judah, that was Rene Sotens, who ends up in second place after that. And we've got Trevor Thiel also waiting in the broadcast waiting area as well, thinking he wants a chat after ending up in second place, battling for the lead, and I believe ending up P4 at the end of all that.
Sure, let's talk to the driver that doesn't have a pickle suit on, unfortunately. But Trevor, you went for the move. You had to go for the move. Talk us through it from your perspective, the battle for the lead here in Racecraft Rallycross, the Shootout powered by Next Level Racing.
Well, it was either win or go home, and I went home.
Do you think that it was your fault? Was it a racing incident? Where do you stand on that equation, the barometer of blame?
I don't know. I'd have to look at it again. I feel like he might have came down a little bit right there, but I also kind of sent in that corner. It was a racing deal. It's all fun. Good times out there. It was a good race.
I'm glad you said it was a racing deal, because I'll be honest, I'll put a bit more of the blame on you if I'm being honest. You
would.
Yeah, I think you had to. You hadn't rotated the car enough at the point where contact was made, but I think that's also what Rallycross is about, right? The willingness to go for it. So how fun was it to be back in the car? It's been a while since we've had some Racecraft RX action.
Yeah, it has been a while, but it was actually really fun. It feels refreshing to get back in those cars and battle it out with all the people that support our league. It's fun. Can't wait to have another series again.
And so, very quickly, we touched on the pros and what we should expect. What are you expecting from the pros as we get ready to go?
I don't know. If they're as rusty as the AM class, it should be a show.
Well, there's the expectation laid down from Trevor. Thiel finishes 7th, but Trevor, thanks for the show. You said you were going to try and put one on. That you did.
Yeah, every time.
Always great to catch up with some of our drivers. Don't think we'll get a chance to catch up with Rene Wegner. And so, Josh, now the stage is set. It's gone from focus on the AMs to focus on the pros. What are you expecting, though, as we get ready to step aside and get ready to go again?
I'm expecting a lot of the same. I'm expecting the aggression. We've got some drivers that we have not seen in a while in the pro class. I'm excited to see how they do against a lot of these drivers. You mentioned it, former champions. I mean, it is going to be stacked from top to bottom. I just can't wait. Let's get these cars going. Hurry up.
Well, we do have our Racecraft Rallycross king, Jacob Rafos. That is the man to beat. We'll find out if anyone's got something for him. Don't go anywhere here on RaceSpotTV. Well, the AMs had their fun. Let's let the pros let loose here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Welcome back to Racecraft Rallycross Shootout, powered by Next Level Racing. Atlanta Motorsports Speedway is a great racing facility, and we've seen just how crazy it can be. What do the best that iRacing Rallycross drivers have left to give? Let's find out. Our Junior Kanky Party alongside of Josh Lee once again. And Josh, not much has changed. The cars are the same. Yes, the drivers are different, but all that's really changed between the pros and the AMs is the ability to change the setup. Everything else is the same when it comes to race format and how we'll get through the course of this event.
Also, less incident limit as well. We saw a lot of contact between a couple of drivers in the AM class. These pro drivers need to clean it up a little bit. Only 6x that they are able to get before they are hit with a penalty. And that penalty is, I believe, disqualification, but they're hit with the penalty nonetheless. But that open setup is important. They can do whatever they want under the hoods of these cars, and that does widen out our skill gap a little bit, but still, these drivers are some of the best in both dirt road, off-road, rallycross. They are some of the best in the iRacing service at this discipline. They're still going to be close. They're still going to be fast.
And some drivers making a step up in competition as well. I mentioned Chris Pissuk showed his mettle in the RX2 championship fight earlier this year. He stepped up to RX1. Looking forward to seeing how he goes with these pro drivers. And we've got the likes of Ilari Lam and Sivu, Tony Latin Mackie, a couple of drivers joining the fray who, for those that have watched iRacing Rallycross going back to the World Championship days, those are names you may recognize. Drivers, rather viewers of Racecraft Rallycross may be a little less familiar with them, but should nevertheless be very exciting. One name that everyone knows, I think, though, Josh, Jacob Rafos, the man that we're all trying to beat, the 4-time RX1 king.
He has been so dominant, and not just Racecraft Rallycross, but remember his performance in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series in the past as well. One of those drivers that was the kind of Rallycross converts that we talked about in the Off-Road Championship Series over the last 2 years, but he really has performed well in the Pro Trucks, in Rallycross for as long as he has been here. And we'll see if he's able to be on top again here in the Shootout powered by Next Level Racing. But right now, fastest of them all is Alari Lemon Sivu. How about a name in the fastest portion of the leaderboard right now?
It's great to see him back in the Havu Gaming number 15. Still waiting for young Jacob Rafos to set a time. He comes across the line, and the first lap time for him is only 8th position, a good 3/10 off of the provisional pole time. Evan McFarlane in the KES Industries 04, though. Make sure that he's recognized for the speed that he showed us in RX1's campaign earlier this year. Goes to the top by a full 10th.5. Let's watch Jacob Rafos, though, bail on this lap. He's going to be starting towards the tail end of the field.
Bailed out. Not much he could have done there as we grab another look at McFarlane working his way into the final corner. Sits fastest right now, and one of those drivers that has just gotten faster and faster and faster all through his years of running in Racecraft Rallycross. One of the first drivers that we had in Racecraft Rallycross way back a couple of years ago when we began running this series, and now he's faster than Lemon Sivu, Pakala, Parisi, Latin Maki. He's faster than a lot of great drivers right now.
And so let's see, as he gets ready to go for his final timed attempt, can he find even more speed? I mean, a level of commitment from this young man, it's admirable. I mean, that was as precise as you could hope for, and you really need to get close up to this wall, dancing through the middle sector down to the final braking zone of the lap. Lemon Sivu has also started his final lap, so we're going to get that comparison, a bit of a benchmark. Edmondson in the Nitro Circus sim racing car has jumped to 3rd in the 58. What does McFarlane have, though? Best lap time of 43.756, now aligned with Team Watson Racing as well, 43.756. Not beat this time by, but he's still provisional pole.
I'll be honest, Arjun, I did not have Evan McFarlane being on the pole going into the pro class on my bingo card for tonight, but that thing is fast. That driver is fast. As we take a look at the Fiesta, the only Fiesta in the field of Stead Miller coming across the line. Where will they slot in? It's going to be P17 right now at a 45.871. Rest of the field, Subarus, 16 Subarus, 1 Fiesta, virtually no Volkswagen Beetles taking the track tonight.
We did see at least one in the AM Championship, which is nice to see, but I guess when it comes to these drivers with the ability to dial in the setups, one thing that, Josh, we often talk about as the session winds to a close is as the dirt moves around you, that line gets developed. The Subarus are often better on a worn track, so the later we get into this race, maybe the longer wheelbase will favor those drivers.
I think also in this pro class, something that we got to talk about is going to be the track state. 17 drivers going to go racing. We're going to eliminate 5. We will have 12 drivers that will advance into the feature race. Expecting heat 3, not even a planned heat 3. We will run 2 heats, but these drivers run in very similar lines. They are much more consistent. You're going to see one line really start to develop in these dirt sections, and we're going to start to see drivers try and fight for a little bit of grip, fight for a little bit of moisture in the 2 prominent dirt sections that we have on this track.
And so, let's go trackside, take a look at the starting grid for the first of our 2 heats. It's going to be fast and furious till the end from here, and should be fun to see what Evan McFarlane can do alongside of Josh Edmondson on the front row, with Tony Latin-Mackie and Yoni Palaneva behind them. Jacob Rafos, the Racecraft RX King, lines up back in 5th, alongside of Robbie Swan in the Racecraft 37, back to 7th to find Quintin Del Lomo. Great to see him in the Race Clutch number 20 join back into iRacing for the first time in quite a while. Russell Peterson, Stead Miller, the rest of the 9 cars that will battle in this heat. And we will get 3 to advance rather than the 2 that we had in the AM portion of the event, Josh. So a little bit more to play for here, a bit more intensity I'm feeling as well.
And look at those 3 names that are starting in the top 3 of this heat race. It's McFarlane, Edmondson, and Latin-Mackie. And look at the drivers that are trying to chase them down. Rafos, DeLalmo, Swan. This is going to be an interesting heat race with some very fast drivers up front playing defense right off the bat, and maybe some even faster drivers that are going to be on the back foot playing offense throughout the start of this heat.
And while we wait for Edmondson to join the grid, there's a look at the drivers ready to rumble in all their different setups. So many different ways that you can go racing. We'll keep an eye on all of them through the course of the rest of the events. Don't want to look away, because as soon as Josh Edmondson, who was in VR, puts that headset on, we are ready to go racing. It's as simple as that. And so now it's eyes to the lights for the first time for these pro drivers. Can already see the rear wheel spinning for a couple of them. The Atlanta Motor Speedway, it's one of their favorite tracks to battle. Let's get the shootout underway. McFarlane with a great jump. Jacob Rafos makes it 4 wide instantly. There's a bit of contact with Yoni Palaneva. He also sends wide one of his Nitro Circus Sim Racing teammates, Josh Edmondson. But now as we scramble back up to the line, 1 and 2, Tony Latin-Mackie sliding in behind Evan McFarlane, and Jacob Rafos at drag race with Quinton Dalomo up to turn number 1.
That start in that first corner from Dalomo was disgusting. He was up in third for a moment, drops back to fifth. First pass of the Joker, who takes it? McFarlane's in. Behind Latin-Mackie is in. Dalomo in. Jacob Rafos gonna lead the drivers that did not Joker. Robbie Swan, after contact and after an incident, ends up back in the pit lane. Top 3, all 3 transfer spots have taken their Jokers. They have made their bed.
And so Robbie Swan, the only driver not in contention anymore, as you take a look at the left side of the screen, and those that light up in gold now that they've broken the timing line. And so keep an eye on the margin as well to Jacob Rafos, who's got his teammate behind him, Josh Edmondson, and this is where the coordination between teammates will be important. Do they want to Joker on the same lap? Do they think it's better to try and divvy up the strategy? If I'm Rafos, I stay out for at least 1 more lap, and indeed, to the donk slide he goes.
No takes of the Jokers. Palanova does, but he stays P4, keeping the top 3 well and away at the front of the field. Edmondson gets past Rafos. He now leads the drivers that have yet to take the Joker lap. The Delta not looking in their favor right now, Arjuna. About 7 seconds to the back bumper of Dalomo as we sit right now. Here's the replay of what happened to Rafos. He just misjudged that corner. That's a rare mistake.
That's right on board. Now, I think there might be a slowdown. Am I crazy, or is he intentionally slowing down here?
It's either an uncharacteristic mistake where just the car, these are 4-wheel drive cars, remember. They can just stop turning on a dime. Edmondson with the Joker. Here's the battle for the transfer into third. There's the momentum off the Joker we've been talking about all night.
And so Quinton Dalomo gets run a little bit wide off the road, and now in that race clutch 22, he's got some work to do. It does mean if you're Jacob Rafos, you feel comfortable, confident, you know the Joker puts you into contention. You've just got to avoid making any more mistakes of your own. Back up to turn 1, 2 laps left to go, and I think this fight for the third and final transfer spot is going to be on for McFarlane and Latin-Mackie. They look comfortable.
Comfortable at the front, but not comfortable as Edmondson. He's got a mirror full of Quinton Dalomo. The amount of times that the Dalomo name has been said in dirt road competition on iRacing, it dates back multiple years. And now Dalomo sits behind Edmondson. They have Palaneva behind them, all within the top 5, separated by about 5 seconds. No threat by Rafos, Peterson, or Swan, who's in the pit lane of these transfer spots that are racing amongst themselves with 1 to go.
And so, here we go. Let's find out who's missing out on an automatic trip to the feature, because at least one big name is going to find themselves missing out. Will it be the Racecraft RX King, though? That's what many of the people will be wondering. Where is Jacob Rafos? Right on board with him, bottom of the screen, as he now arcs out wide, builds his momentum, and he's going to slot in directly behind this battle. Now he's going to be able to close to the back of Quinton Dalomo. The answer will be no. You can see him getting closer, but not close enough. What a way to open up this pro class. We knew it would be full of drama. Evan McFarlane's reminded everyone he's here to be counted. Winner of the opening heat by 2 seconds over Tony Latin-Mackie and Josh Edmondson. Quinton Dalomo and Jacob Rafos, they're going to the LCQs.
1 more lap, maybe. 1 more corner, maybe. But Rafos does not qualify for the feature. Dalomo, Rafos, and more all heading into our consolation races.
Wow, and that was not what I expected when we got ready to go for the second part of the day. Just a confirmation of those results. Love the team name for Evan McFarlane in the Subi Squad 04. Alistaro Esports and Tony Latin-Mackie representing well as well. And again, top 3 move forward. Everyone else has got some work to do. Heat 2 on deck, and just 8 drivers in this respective lineup. So Ilari, Lamansivo, and Jukka Pakala on the front row will fire it off to turn 1 with Connor Parisi and Santeri Heiskanen lined up behind them. Chris Pisuk in the Run DJC 315 is alongside of Zach Blanche as we see some of those drivers step up to this open setup competition. Sean Winkler is alongside of the RX2 champion from earlier this year, Thomas Poulsen in that golden no control 49. It's always a bit more pressure, isn't there, Josh, when you're in your golden livery, not to make any mistakes.
That golden livery says a lot. You're going to be in the eye a lot. As we look on board, we're ready for the start. Revs build.
So let's sit with Thomas Poulsen. Let's take in the race start. Second and final heat. Now, did Chris Pisuk slightly jump the start there? Thomas Poulsen's already come across and tried to cover off any potential lines of offense down his inside. He'll also try and make a move on Connor Parisi. Bit too much contact, reminiscent of what happened to Trevor Teal, and Connor Parisi's pointed 90 degrees in the wrong direction. Up towards the line. Lamansivo leads us. There's chaos behind him.
Blanche with issues. We saw the issues with Parisi. Everybody else straight and smooth as they work their way through sector 1. Past the Joker for the first time. Lemansivu takes it. Pakala takes it. Poulsen does not. Behind. Heiskanen takes it. Top 3 again taking their Jokers lap 1.
And so already with the drama this time on the start, a lot less of battles for us to keep our eyes on. Thomas Poulsen, we saw his perspective of the start, looked relatively tidy. He's, 12 seconds already behind the race leader. 4 laps to go at the line. How tidy can he keep it? He's got his main rival from RX2 earlier this season directly behind him. Bit of deja vu, it feels like.
And this battle for the transfer needs to get interesting soon because Poulsen is at 10 seconds to the back bumper of Heiskanen. I mean, he is outside of that Joker lane delta right now. What he needs to do is get on the horn. There's a Joker from Poulsen, and just like that, not going to be enough as we look on board with 2 of our drivers there. Poulsen to the inside for the transfer in the final corner.
Tries to force his way past his teammate. Gold versus purple. Which one reigns supreme? I think the one thing you know when it's 2 teammates battling, they're going to try and avoid wrecking one another, and so Heiskanen holds on for the time being. Does this allow Chris Pisuk to now try and take advantage? He's got a couple of laps to try and close. 8 seconds in front of him, Josh. Nobody to get in his way as he tries to just put pedal to the metal.
Joker's done for both of these drivers. It is an on-track battle. No pressure from Pisik yet. No pressure from Winkler yet. What will happen when Pisik or Winkler takes the Joker? Pisik doesn't that time by. He saves it for either lap 4 or the final lap of lap 5. You're on board with Thomas Poulsen P4. He only is looking out of his front windshield right now. Parisi Joker's not in this battle by about 7 seconds.
A bit deep from Heiskanen, but just slowing down these drivers relative to Chris Pisuk, who did actually lose about 1/10 of a second to Heiskanen last time at the line. So if you're looking just at raw lap times and balancing that all out, does not seem as though the gap's shrinking just yet. Lamansivu, Pakala, still 2 seconds between the 2 of them, looking pretty comfortable up towards the front of the field. Seems to be a bit of a story. Hopefully the feature's a little different when it comes to that regard, and we're in for a little bit more excitement. Chris Pisuk, I thought he might Joker this time by. Here he comes, flies his way through. He's going to have some more speed. Can he pass Thomas Poulsen down to the penultimate couple of corners?
He had momentum, but not enough of a gap. He ends up behind Poulsen and in P5. Poulsen still trying to put pressure up ahead to Heiskanen up the road in P3. You're on board with Pisik in the sim. Final lap. White flag is out for this heat. Is there any fight for the transfer? Nothing yet.
It's going to take a bit of desperation, maybe into those penultimate couple of corners, or a mistake. Remember what happened with Austin Scheiber in our AM portion of the event. Through the donk slide. Is there a slip up? Answer is no. And so as this unfolds behind, drivers knowing they're going to the LCQs, not the case for those at the front. Ilari Lamansivu in that Havu number 15. Great to see him back in the field. Not really having much action to speak of in his respective heat, but he'll line up on the front row of the feature here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway as he comes out on top in heat number 2.
Pakala and Heiskanen also will advance on through. Top 3 advance to the feature, Poulsen and Pizik. I think that battle, Arjuna, that we just saw at the end of this heat is going to extend into the LCQ and potentially into the feature, depending on where they line up.
That's the question. Where are they going to line up? Will they end up in their same respective LCQs? Let's find out. Quick look at the Heat 2 results. And 3 no-control drivers in that. Only 2 can move forward. Let's get ready to go for the first of those LCQs. Take a look at the starting grid, where we are going to see plenty of our big hitters. Quintin Dallomo and Jacob Rafos line up on the front row. Joni Palaneva, Russell Peterson, and then Stead Miller. 5 cars to enter, and I believe 3 to make their way on forward. So again, much like we talked about in RX2, Josh, stay out of trouble. You'll be making your way on forward as we get ready to go. Rev the engines once more here. 2 drivers going to be sent home. 3 drivers to line up at the back of the feature grid. Quintin Dallomo and Jacob Rafos on the front row. Pretty equal start between the 2 of them as they jockey it through the final couple of corners. Long way around for Rafos as he gets the door slam shut on him.
Dallomo and Rafos at the front of this field might as well be an Irish Rallycross World Championship event as they're side by side again, coming off of the jump. Palaneva sits 3rd, Miller and Peterson rounding out the 5 drivers, but it's Dallomo and Rafos at the front of the field. Who jokers this time? Rafos gets the door slammed on him again in 2. You're on board with Rafos. He doesn't joker, Dallomo does, and Palaneva follows him in.
You always knew they were going to do 2 different things. Rafos set up on the right side of the track, Dallomo set up on the left side, and so now we've got the split. Rafos going to focus at the task at hand, and this camera angle showing us just how smooth he's trying to be behind the wheel as he tries to make his way forward in time. Between Dallomo and Palaneva, look at the margin between the 2 of them. Not expecting a fight. If anything, I'm expecting Dallomo to try and break away. You know just how quick he can be now, lined up with the team over at Race Clutch. Great to see him finding a new home after competing with a whole handful of teams, most recently virtual drivers in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. So now slides his way forward. Stead Miller jokers this time by, emerges behind these 2. Still the question, where's Jacob Rafos, Russell Peterson in the Joker Delta?
That Delta right now, it looks in favor of Rafos, not just for the transfer, but also potentially for more spots up the road. You can put a blanket under your transfer drivers right now in the top 3 as you look on board, literally speaking, with Russell Peterson, who unfortunately sits shotgun on the field in P5. Probably going to be going home, but we cannot let him go home without taking a look at this awesome POV view from inside of his sim rig, choosing the ultra-wide monitor. Interesting choice. Good
choice. As a fellow ultra-wide enthusiast, best choice for sim racing. I'm not biased at all that I don't have space for triples. Like you said, though, we do have the top 3 blanket over the top of them. Stead Miller doing a good job to hold on. Now, iRating, not really the true measure of a driver, if you ask me, but Palaneva and Dallomo, they're both in the 7,000, 8,000 iRating bracket. Stead Miller, 3,000 iRating. So, just a sign that maybe done a few less official races, definitely showing his speed here today. That was Dallomo a bit slow out of the final corner, though, as we come to 2 to go. Palaneva starts to put the pressure on. Jacob Rafos well and truly inside of this Joker Delta right now. If he decides to take the shortcut, he'll rocket to the lead.
When does Rafos try and take it? He's going by it right now. You're on board with Rafos in the bottom box. It's going to be a last lap Joker. This is going to be very interesting because remember, the amount of momentum they get off the Joker, it saves about 8 or 9 seconds just raw pace in the Delta that you have going through the Joker lane itself. But think about the momentum that you get ripping down that straightaway. He could run into other cars. There's a defense opportunity for Miller, Palaneva, and Dallomo coming up here. White flag and an interesting Joker strategy from Rafos here. Let's see what happens.
I'm pretty sure he's going to blast his way to the lead. It might be quite interesting on the merge, though. Watch these drivers. Stead Miller's dropped back slightly. Palaneva just has to stay out of the direction of the speed and the momentum that's going to slide its way forward. It's not even going to be close at the end of the day.
Wow.
Because Jacob Rafos back in front. That's where we know him usually to be. Dallomo makes a slip up behind. It's not really going to matter, though. Rafos, Dallomo, Palaneva survive the madness that is an LCQ and will line up at the back of the Racecraft Rallycross Shootout powered by Next Level Racing's Pro Race in a couple of minutes' time.
Rafas's entry lap into that Joker was way better than I was expecting, and I think Delolmo and Palaneva could have been a little bit quicker through turn 5 as well. And that is Rafas going into the feature race in commanding fashion at that.
A 2-second margin, I think, tells you all you need to know, given that he only jokered on that final lap. What execution from the Racecraft RX King. Let's look how they'll line up, though, for the second of the LCQs. They're already getting ready to go with Thomas Paulson and Chris Pissock back on the front row. And then Sean Winkler, Connor Parisi, Zach Blanche, and Robbie Swan at the tail end of the field. 3 drivers move forward, 3 drivers miss out. It is as simple as that.
It's simple when you look at it on paper, especially for Paulson, Pissock, and Winkler, who start in the first 3 positions. But you've got Connor Parisi in the Nitro Circus, number 11. He's going to be on the pressure. You've also got Zach Blanche. You got Robbie Swan. A lot of fast drivers running from third on back.
Here we go, off and away once again, and Connor Parisi's got a great launch, 4 wide for a moment. Oh, that's a bit too aggressive from Sean Winkler. He's turned around Thomas Paulson in that golden no-control entry. Chris Pissock says thank you very much, takes the race lead. Pressure from Connor Parisi, Robbie Swan joins them as well. Thomas Paulson pointed in the wrong direction. That's his day, done and dusted.
To play devil's advocate for Winkler there, he did have an opening. He had the better run going into turn number 1 than Paulson. That door just closed with Paulson already there, with Winkler already there, I should say. Paulson in the pits, Parisi through the Joker. Nobody else joins him. Parisi alone in his first lap Joker. First time we've seen that so far here in the pro class.
So this will be quite interesting, right? How the rest of the drivers now elect to divvy up their Joker laps. We don't have long to wait, though, given that I think there's going to be a little less wheel-to-wheel action for the rest of this race. Josh, talk us through this start as we run down to that turn 1.
Look at the run from Winkler. He did get a better start from Paulson. He had the inside lane, but only by about 1.5 feet. I respect Winkler for going for the gap. That gap was there. I also understand Paulson being aggressive on the defense, but also not expecting Winkler to go that aggressive into the corner. I think ultimately just 2 drivers going aggressive as we see Pissock get by Parisi after a Joker for the race lead.
Robbie Swan joins the Joker fun as well. So as we take a look at a couple of driver webcams, you can see Chris Pissock alongside of Robbie Swan. Swan having to saw at the wheel to avoid landing all sorts of out of shape. That's now onto the 3rd lap of this race. 3 drivers with a bit of a margin. Zach Blanche and Sean Winkler yet to have jokered. If they can avoid fighting with one another, there is still mathematically a chance, Josh, but that's all it is, a mathematical chance.
We'll see what ends up happening as we still have it. 2 drivers, I should say, left to take the Joker. That's Blanche and Winkler. Winkler Joker's that time by, so that is done for him. P4 is all he's going to be able to grab. Blanche needs to condense that gap by about 2 to 3 seconds if he's going to want a chance at Robbie Swan for the transfer spot. But this is a battle for the better starting position in the feature. Pissock and Parisi battling with 2 to go.
Last thing they want to do, though, is take either of them out of contention as they run out through turn 1 once again, avoiding those anti-cut curbs quite carefully. We know just how difficult they can be. Sean Winkler 1.5 seconds behind Robbie Swan in his quest to try and close for a transfer spot. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the margin between Zach Blanche and 3rd position as well. All he needs is 8 to 9 seconds, and he's there and in the mix as we get ready to swing onto the final lap. Connor Parisi still in the rearview mirror of Chris Pissock, with the Run DJC driver looking very, very good.
Out in front still as they go through the final corner and over the jump. Swan's good in the transfer. Blanche saves his Joker for the last lap. Gonna need a little bit of a miracle if he wants that transfer. He's within the delta now. This could be a Joker lap pass for the transfer on the 02 from the 37. Through the middle sector for your leaders. That battle for the lead, making a little bit of contact is Parisi to the back bumper of Pissock. But we've also got a battle for the transfer. You're on board with Blanche. Hits the Joker. Does he have enough? He's going to be side by side with Swan, maybe. There's the momentum. He has Swan in front of him.
And so into the final couple of corners they go, wheel to wheel. It is Chris Pissock that's going to advance at the front clear. Zach Blanche and Robbie Swan elbows out through the final corner, and Blanche uses the momentum from the Joker Josh to make his way to the main event.
He saved it. He did exactly what I said he needed to do. Condense that gap down. He got it to about 7 seconds, and that's all he needed. The slingshot down the straightaway into the final corner was what did it for Zach Blanche.
And so a quick chance for a warm-up now for these drivers as they get dialed up for the main event, at least for the 12 that have made it to the very final stage. Quick look at those results. Margin of victory, 3/10 between Pisuk and Parisi. They really did have a bit of a ding-dong battle at the front, and then the margin growing in the closing stages. Unfortunately for both the Racecraft drivers, Robbie Swan and Sean Winkler, we say goodbye to them. And for Thomas Poulsen, not exactly what he was expecting on his return to the Racecraft Rallycross stage. So this should be interesting now. The starting grid has got Evan McFarlane in control, but some very strong drivers buried a little bit further back. Take, for example, Jacob Rafoss. He's going to start back in 7th position. Quinton Del Lomo's back in 9th. Joshua Lee, what are you expecting as we get ready to rumble for 10 final laps here today?
I'm expecting the same aggression. I'm expecting drivers to be wanting to make those moves, being aggressive about those moves. I don't think we're done seeing contact. I don't think we're done seeing wrecks, but there also is that little bit of unpredictability as well. I mean, how many Joker lap passes for the transfer or Joker lap passes for the lead have we had tonight? I mean, just in the pro class alone, seems like almost every single race we're watching that Joker lane and waiting for something to happen. I think we're going to see a lot of the same, and I don't think we're really going to know what's going to happen or who's going to finish where until that checkered flag flies.
I think one thing we've seen on the start with these pro drivers is a little bit more wheel to wheel into that first corner, Josh, and you called it with Sean Winkler, the contact with Thomas Poulsen. There was a gap, he went for it, and we're going to see a bit more of that here on the start for the final time today.
I forget who said it, but it's if you go for a gap, then you're no longer if you don't go for a gap, you're no longer a racing driver. Is that Ayrton Senna?
It was indeed.
All right, I got it. I didn't want to say it incorrectly if I didn't have the person correctly. But anyway, that's the same with Rallycross. I mean, if you have a gap, you gotta at least go for it. These cars can take a little bit more contact than you can in Formula One or in any other open wheel racing or even stock car racing. These cars can take a beating. You just gotta use that bumper a little bit more.
Ready to go for the final time tonight with it all on the line in the shootout for these pro drivers. Let's take a look at the starting grid presented by Next Level Racing. Evan McFarlane, Ilari Lamansivu will control the start from the front with Tony Latinmäki and Jukka Pakala behind them on row 2. Josh Edmondson, Santeri Heiskanen, they share row 3 amongst themselves, with Jacob Rafoss, Chris Pisuk, the first of the drivers to battle from the LCQs. Quinton Del Lomo and Connor Parisi alongside on the edge of the top 10. Yoni Palaneva, Zach Blanche round out the field of drivers ready to go. I tell you what, before we go, let's take a look at the faces of some of these drivers as well. Josh Edmondson's putting the VR goggles on. Thomas Poulsen, Russell Peterson have stepped away from the rigs. Everyone else dialed in and ready to go.
Dialed in is right. These drivers are ready to go, waiting on Lemon Sibu to grid. There he is, Arjuna. It's showtime in Atlanta for the Racecraft Rallycross Shootout, powered by Next Level Racing.
So let's go racing. Engines sing and we punch the throttle down to turn 1. Evan McFarlane gets a very, very good jump. Forces Lamansivu wide. Contact behind. Palaneva goes around and drama. Jacob Rafoss takes advantage. Drag race to turn 1. Who's going to win? Can Tony Latinmäki lead into the opening corner? Quinton Del Lomo's found his way forward to 3rd as well. Not quite sure how McFarlane's been boxed out, but my word, Latinmäki leads us as we cycle our way to the Joker.
McFarlane gave way in turn 2 to the fast Subaru in front of him. He doesn't Joker, leader does. Latinmäki in, Delomo in. A couple other drivers towards the back. Pisuk and Heiskanen are all in. Everybody else through the normal run as it's Evan McFarlane who leads that group. Still within striking distance of the Delta, but not to the leader, only to 4th place.
And look how many drivers are on top of one another here. This will cost them time. And yes, you've got plenty of laps, but if you all try and Joker at the same time, you'll cost each other valuable time. Anyway, across the line, Latinmäki, Del Lomo, Chris Pisuk, Santeri Heiskanen, the top 4 all have Jokered. And like Josh said, Evan McFarlane leads those that have not. He's got 7 seconds in front of him with which to work. Does he Joker this time by? Surely not. Jacob Rafoss says, yes, let me go now.
He goes and goes into P3 with a considerable head of steam down the straightaway. not enough to threat the top two. Latinmaki and Delolmo in their own world right now. Pizik trying to defend from Heiskanen on back. Zach Blanche looks like he also grabbed the Joker that time by to work his way up and into P6. A lot of the Jokers getting out of the way early. They're trying to rely on their ground speed to keep this race going.
Speed in excess of almost 110, 20 miles an hour into turn one when you hit the brakes very slightly and try and shave off some of that speed. But these cars do move around quite a lot. They are, of course, set up to be forgiving, permissible on the dirt, which makes them a little bit more difficult to control, a little bit more wobbly, for lack of a better word, when you rejoin the tarmac. Still waiting for a few more drivers to have come down to the Joker as Chris Pisak holds up the likes of Santeri Heiskanen and Zach Blanche. For Evan McFarlane, now 5 seconds of clean air in front of him as we close on 3 laps complete in the main event.
Still a long way to go, and only half of our field have taken to the Joker lane. Evan McFarlane still sitting, leading those drivers that have yet to Joker. But where we sit right now, there's race leader Latinmaki in the small box. Big box is Evan McFarlane. That gap to the lead, about 10 seconds, make it 9 as they go through sector 1. That's not that great, but the gap for McFarlane up to Blanche, about 3 seconds. He can make up a lot of spots with the Joker. Lemon Sivu had the same idea. He goes up and into P3. He got past Rafos with the head of steam that he had off the Joker.
Not fighting too much at the front just yet, though. They know that the more they fight, the more they bring in some of these other drivers and allow a chance for what happened with Jacob Rafos, remember, in the LCQs, where he sprung his way on the final lap to the very front of the field. It's potentially happened here as well. McFarlane's within 4 seconds, though, of the drivers in front. So as the laps go by, there is going to get to a point where he's onto the back of the fight for 5th, and he's got no choice but to jink his way onto the Joker. That time is not just yet, though. Back over to Rafos and Lamon Sivu. This is going to be a fun fight between 2 very, very strong drivers. Guess what? Joni Palaneva's going to join. Look at his speed to the outside, to the braking zone. He gets past Rafos initially. Rafos commits and gets his way back on through.
That was a big commitment from Rafos into turn number 1 as Palaneva sits in now behind. You're on board with the No Control Esport team number 31. Sits waiting in the wings now to try and make another run on Rafos. Rafos waiting in the wings to make another run on Lemon Sivu. They might look like they're spread out, but Arjuna, these drivers are close together. About 3 seconds separating these top drivers. One small mistake, and these drivers are going to be in trouble. Heiskanen takes, Heiskanen gets by Blanche, and contact made for 5th.
Lamon Sivu tried. McFarlane's Joker. He's going to try and pass Quintin Del Lomo. He does pass Quintin Del Lomo.
That was the run that McFarlane needed. That's what he was waiting for, and he is within striking distance of Latinmaki for the race lead now.
So here we go. 4 more laps left to run, and Tony Latinmaki's got the driver in the rearview mirror to watch. The one that we saw in qualifying put us time in that no one necessarily would have expected, but he's got to find his way through on track. He doesn't have the advantage of a Joker to build him a bit more speed, Josh. Instead, he's going to find a way through with sheer determination.
On board with McFarlane as he works his way out of 5 and into 6. A mistake from Latinmaki, and it's going to be Evan McFarlane's race to lose. Latinmaki went a little bit wide out of that dirt section, ends up back on line fine through the final corner. Oh, by the way, Delolmo's in this fight as well. 1 second separating the top 3.
Not the best of landing there for Evan McFarlane. Lose a little bit of ground back to turn 1 once again as we tick off yet another lap. Connor Parisi is yet to have jokered, but he's just on the bubble. A little bit too far behind to really insert himself into a podium position, but just keep an eye on that as a possibility. There is a potential that he could find himself into the mix here, but with 2 laps to go at the line, Latinmaki still holding McFarlane at bay. If he can avoid making any slip-ups, we've seen plenty of drivers run wide onto this back straightaway, Josh. That seems to be the main place where the door gets opened.
Let's see if that door is going to be sprung open by McFarlane. Losing a bit of time is Latinmaki. That gap closes down. Last time by through this section, it was about 7 tenths, making about 5 tenths now as they enter back into turn number 1. 2 to go. McFarlane has to make something happen soon. I don't think he can rely on a mistake from Latinmaki. He's almost going to have to go up and try and take this lead away.
Behind them, can tell you that Jacob Rafos is closing on Lam and Sivu, but
There it is.
it's going to take something like this. There's a bit of contact, inducing a bit of drama. McFarlane, the one that loses through all of it, though. One final lap to go here in this Racecraft Rallycross shootout powered by Next Level Racing. It's between three, but flip a coin, and it could go any different way between them.
I think Delamo needs a mistake right now. Delamo's not going to get in this battle for the top two unless we see some substantial contact between the front two. White flag is out. One final lap. One final opportunity for this race win to be decided. McFarlane by 3/10 through the first sector into turn 5. What is he going to have? Does he get on the handbrake? Does he get to the inside?
He'll try it, but very fair between the two of them. And no, McFarlane gets shoved wide. The iRacing glue does not pay benefits to him. Quintin Dalomo will slip through, but they gave it their best try. All the way to the end, Evan McFarlane pushed, but it was the Joker strategy that caught him out. Tony Latin Mackey, lap one Joker, and back into the iRacing world in style. Here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, he wins the final in Racecraft Rallycross powered by Next Level Racing, and it's pro shootout in style.
McFarlane went for it. Gotta commend him for that. But the contact, instead of keeping him on the door of Latinmaki, it just spit him straight out. And what a dominating performance from Tony Latinmaki to grab this win.
Love this sort of racing. It's a shame we're not going to get more of it until 2025. Josh, we've had our fair share of fun this year. It's fair to say, though. First, with Racecraft Rallycross, you and I, we got to see some Pro 2 racing as well, and the action's not done and dusted. Hopefully, we'll see some of these drivers in the race to the summit later this year.
Wow. I mean, the start of the special events calendar for the Racecraft Rallycross season end. And we've got the exciting race to the summit coming up. And if it's going to be anything like this in terms of drama, yes, they're not racing each other, they're racing the clock. But if it's going to be this close, if it's going to be this level of competition, you're going to want to tune in.
We had fun with that broadcast last year, as much as it was difficult with our timing sometimes being a bit delayed to figure out what was happening with who. Quinta Del Lomo gives his props to the race winner, but it's Tony Latin Mackey that sits there on the main straight celebrating in victory lane. We'll catch up with him and catch up with the rest of the podium in our post-race coverage presented by Next Level Racing as we dive into our race result. Alistaro Esports and Latin Mackey 1.2 seconds clear of Race Clutch and Quintin Del Lomo, with Evan McFarlane having to settle for third. Ilari Lamansivu fends off the challenge from Jacob Rafos. The best of the Nitro Circus sim racing teammates, Connor Parisi, Josh Edmondson, slide in front of Santeri Heiskanen, Zach Blanche, and Chris Pissock. Down the back for Yuka Pakula for Yoni Palaneva, but all drivers finish on the lead lap, which is great to see. A relatively clean final race of what has been bumper to bumper day filled of action for these drivers. Ready to catch up with some, not ready to chat to our winner just yet. So Josh Lee's instead going to go and find Evan McFarlane, who finished third here today.
Well, it was a really, really good performance from you tonight, Evan. You end up P3 after some contact at the end, but let's talk about the positive first. You were fast out of the gate in qualifying. You were fast in your heat. You qualified well for your feature, and you ran well in the feature. Was tonight a success from your point of view, even though you didn't walk away with the win?
Yeah, I mean, it was good for me. I feel like I was able to show my speed and just show what I'm capable of and kind of scare these guys maybe if there's another season of this. But no, the feature race was good. I really messed up that start. I outbroke myself way too much, so I killed Ilari there, and I'm sorry to Ilari because that was a rookie mistake. But yeah, I just try to do my best, play some Joker strategy, claw my way back, and I saw that I wasn't gaining too much time on Tony, so I wanted the Joker past Quintin so I could apply pressure, and that seemed to help. He seemed to be slowing down when I got behind him, and yeah, I just tried to just push, keep on going, and when it came to the last lap, I knew it was either in the fishbowl or in the last corner I could get him, and unfortunately in the fishbowl I got bad bounce on the side of his door, and it is what it is, but it was a lot of fun racing with these guys, and I'm really glad that we finished P3.
I will say personally, I've been out of the loop, and I saw you qualify at the top, and I'm like, man, where did the speed from Evan McFarlane come from? But we saw the contact just really quickly on the broadcast that happened for the race lead. What was the strategy to get by Maki? Was it just send it in, try and get to his door, and try and get him loosened up? You both were pretty equal speed, and Maki's so tough to pass as well.
Yeah, if I wanted to pass him, I knew we were close on speed. I would have had to make contact. So I knew in the last corner, I'd gain a ton of time on him because I was just getting on the gas a little bit sooner in the rubber, and I'd get a really good run. So I knew if I wanted to get a run on him or just try to be on his bumper coming out of the fishbowl, or at least get him nervous and make him force him into a mistake. But I knew in the rubber, the rubber would have held me and held both of us. So if I would have just doored him and just try to kind of rough him up a little bit, and I think I might have gotten the run on the straightaway, and it would have been a close finish, I think. But yeah, it is what it is. He deserved that win, and it was a great race.
Well, moving forward as well, Race to the Summit coming up. Hopefully another season of Racecraft Rallycross. Can we expect to see you in the Race to the Summit in your TWRS Subaru?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm probably gonna run the Fiesta there if I do run it. I'm not the best at rally, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm sure we can make something happen. And yeah, just that's another, I guess, race coming up. But yeah, I know that track pretty decently, so I feel like if I get the practice and I'm well enough, I'll be there. But yeah.
Well, I hope we get to see you try and make your run up Mount Washington. But congratulations on your performance tonight, Evan, and thanks for joining us in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, I just got to give all glory to God. It's just because of him that I'm this fast, and I'm so thankful for everything he's done. I would thank KES Industries, Team Watson Racing. If you want some of my setups, go to twrsetups.com. Build some Subarus and Pro 4s over there, so if you want to check them out, go over there. Like to thank True Speed, Fluid Logic, Milan, Martin Sports, Marwin Sports, KES Industries again, and yeah, just all the guys over there, Team Watson, KES Industries, Zach, Eric, Josh, Robbie, L'Real, Matthew, all those guys, they help me out, and it's really fun to hang out with them. So I'm thankful for those guys, and also thank you for you guys for putting on the show. I have a lot of fun coming out here each week, or every time I race, I guess. I have a lot of fun and just racing out here.
And congrats again on your performance tonight. Evan McFarland ends up P3, but he has a lot to hold his head high up after tonight. And Arjuna, looks like you're standing by with second place and kind of waltzing into a second place, Quentin Delalmo.
Yeah, let's see if we can catch up with a driver that we haven't seen much of on RaceSpotTV in the recent years. Great to have him back in our action. And Quentin, first talk to me about what it was like to jump back into this Rallycross car. You had to go through the LCQ, the adrenaline of qualifying your way forward and finishing on the podium. Was it fun? Did you enjoy being back in the iRacing Rallycross world?
Hi guys, yeah, it was really fun. Of course, it was really complicated because it's like 3 years that I haven't touched the iRacing Rallycross, so it was quite complicated. But yeah, happy to be there. It was really fun. I did a really bad qualification, so I was like, oh man, it's over. But yeah, crazy start. It was really stressful on the first jump, but yeah, happy to be there. I'm quite surprised to finish P2.
Well, and you know, one thing that we noticed from you throughout basically every single race that you were in was that your starts were really good, Quentin. So I've got to ask you, what have you figured out on this start? Because you did, especially on the feature, you went up inside of the top 5 basically instantly. How do you get this car off the line so quickly?
I used the setup that I had for the World Series Championship in 21, and apparently the setup was good for the start. so yeah, it was good, and I was lucky to start on the inside line. So with a great jump on the green light, then with the inside line it was better.
So what are you going to be doing for the rest of the year, Quentin, now that you've done at least one more iRacing event? Might we see you do a bit more of this? We have the Next Level Racing Racecraft Race to the Summit coming up, or is your attention going to be spread across the sim racing world for the rest of the year as well?
Yeah, I think I will definitely do more iRacing, because you know, this year I stopped a little bit to try the rally, but yeah, my love is for the iRacing race, so I think I'm going to do more race.
We look forward to seeing you, Quentin. Congratulations on a great drive, and enjoy the success. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Goodbye.
Always great to catch up with the drivers. Don't think we'll get a chance to chat with Tony Latin Mackie, unfortunately, which means Josh, it's time for you and me to say goodbye to the viewers, but we get to look forward to plenty more to come. We called out the fact that Racecraft's Race to the Summit is returning. I don't know if technically I meant to say what the dates are, but you know what? I'll say them anyway, and if I get in trouble, I get in trouble. Qualifying will start November the 1st, ends November the 30th, and December 14th, the annual Race to the Summit back in our lives.
And the Race to the Summit is always very, very exciting whenever we get to run up Mount Washington. And Arjuna, I'll put it out there right now. My calendar right now is free for Sunday, December 14th, or Saturday, December 14th. So I'll put my name on the broadcast for that now. I want to be back in the booth for the Race to the Summit and see these drivers and go racing again. They're going to be not racing each other. Well, kind of. They're racing the clock up the summit of Mount Washington, but we always see just an amazing caliber of drivers come out, and from all over the world: Scandinavia, France, Finland, the UK&I Club, a couple of drivers, only a handful from the United States, and then a couple Aussies joining us at 6 a.m. Monday morning for them to join us here in the Racecraft Rallycross Shootout, powered by Next Level Racing. Can't wait to see what comes out of the Race to the Summit and who we have racing up the Mount Washington Auto Road.
And as Rob Howden would say, book it. December the 14th, we'll be there. Hope you'll be there as well. But it's time for us to bid you farewell. Great to have some Rallycross action back. It's been a busy year for the team behind the scenes at Racecraft. That continues as we wind down for 2024 and prep for 2025. For Josh Lee, alongside myself, Arjuna Kankipati, appreciate you joining us another Sunday evening, another dirt-slinging afternoon filled of festivities. Can't wait to do this again. Congratulations to our winners as well of the Racecraft Rallycross Shootout, powered by Next Level Racing. We'll see you next time. Can't wait for it on RaceSpotTV.